Gabe Evans has flipped a seat in Colorado's Denver suburbs. Evans is a U.S. Army veteran and former police officer. And days after the election, of course, we're still waiting on the results for 16 House races. But again, this was one that both parties were watching, and Republicans have effectively been able to flip that seat. Let's get right to CNN's senior data reporter, Harry Enten. Harry, what's it mean for the House?
Now, what does it mean for the House? It means that Republicans are right on the doorstep of maintaining control of the House of Representatives. Look where we are now. Projections, CNN, 214. Of course, you need 218 to maintain control. Democrats all the way down at 205. Now, if you look at the seats where the parties are ahead, at this particular point, Republicans are ahead in 222 seats, Democrats in just 213. Now, I want to sort of go into that Colorado district that you were just talking about and sort of just point out the problem here. As you mentioned, Gabe Evans flipped it. 97% of the vote is in so far. And one of the real issues that Democrats have sort of just had is if you go back just a little bit in time, right? If you look when 71% of the precincts were in fact, Evans was trailing. And he, of course, in the later vote count, was able to take the lead. And so this is one of the big problems that sort of Democrats have had in this entire sort of trying to somehow find the seats to get to 218. Another sort of example of that, a district where right now they're behind right now in Arizona's 6th congressional district. You see the incumbent Republican is ahead by 1,230 votes. Now, again, if you were to go back in time, if you were to go back when there was 59% of the vote in, again, the Democrat was ahead there. So basically what you're seeing in these types of situations is Democrats keep trying to say, okay, is the math for us there? And then each time you think the math may be there for them, what you end up finding out is that the math actually just sort of goes away for them. Now, where could Democrats potentially pick up seats? Well, let's go out to California, right? Let's go out to California. There are a few districts that I'm sort of keeping my eye out there. So we'll go right here. This is a district that I think they have some shot in. Look at this. In California's 13th district, 57% of the vote is in. The Democrat right now is just about 2.5 points behind. Adam Gray is only about 2.5 points behind. Another district I'm looking in is this one. This is the 22nd district. This is a district that always takes forever to sort of count its votes. David Valadao, the longtime Republican incumbent, he's ahead now by 7 points. But again, just 71% of the vote is in. And finally, you know, if we were to go, let's say we're going to go to Southern California. I like going to Southern California, all right? Let's see if I can click this district. There, we just lost. There we go. Sometimes it gets a little interesting. California's 45th district, Orange County, big chunk of that. Michelle Steele, the incumbent Republican, up by 6,900 votes. But again, just 79% of the vote in, and she's up, you know, about 2.5 points. So again, there are opportunities for Democrats, Jessica, but the bottom line is at this particular hour, the math is thin and the hour is late for Democrats. Republicans look on their way to maintaining House control.
Yeah, and the Senate, more cut and dry, though. We know that there will clearly be a Republican majority.
Yes, we know that there's going to be a Republican majority. And in fact, what do we have that is basically uncalled on the Senate side? Well, there's one seat that Republicans are heading and one seat Democrats are heading. And at this particular point, I want to go down to the one where I think we really have at least a little bit of doubt here. But Ruben Gallego against Kari Lake, of course, very controversial in a state that Donald Trump easily carried. But Ruben Gallego is ahead right now by a little bit less than 2 percentage points. This race got a little bit closer as we sort of gone down the stretch and more vote came in. But Gallego has been able to stretch his lead out. So at this particular point, despite the fact in the presidential race, look how far Donald Trump is ahead in Arizona. He's up by 6 points. But Ruben Gallego is running way, way, way ahead of Kamala Harris. And at this particular point, this looks like a hold for the Democrats. Remember, Kirsten Sinema, the Democratic incumbent, turned independent. But it looks like Kari Lake at this point, she's behind the 8 ball. We haven't called it yet, but at this point, Gallego looking pretty gosh darn good, Jessica.
All right, Harry Enten for us running those numbers. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
In just 2 days, Senate Republicans will pick Mitch McConnell's successor as the party's leader in the upper chamber. Over the weekend, President-elect Donald Trump issued a new demand for whoever will ultimately fill the role. Trump posting that the next leader must support recess appointments for his nominees. What does that mean? It's a way for the president to get around minority opposition to his picks. And while all 3 of the top contenders quickly signaled support for the idea, one figure has emerged as a favorite among key Trump allies. Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and others publicly endorsing Florida Senator Rick Scott for the role. Trump has not endorsed anyone yet. On Wednesday, the Senate GOP will hold a secret ballot election to decide who will win the power to control legislation and wield the power over those key cabinet confirmations. Here was Senator Rick Scott making his pitch over the weekend.
We have to be the change. That's what Donald Trump got elected to do, to be the change. That's what business guys do. I'm a deal guy.
I'm a deal guy. Joining us now, Steph Kite, politics reporter for Axios, Michael Schnell, congressional reporter for The Hill. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for being here. Michael, let me start with you, kind of big picture here, because we know that two of these guys that have been in the running, John Thune, John Cornyn, long-standing